Are skateboarders the shock troops of gentrification? Before I talk about the subject, I'll try and summarize skateboarding's history to better contextualize the rest of the video. Whether it's from the makeshift kick scooters or from surfers using roller skate wheels attached to planks, skateboarding's origins began in California, sometime during the 40s, and exploded in popularity from the 50s to early 60s.
What's this, some new kind of dance? Nope, it's America's newest sport, and it's called skateboarding.
Skateboarding movies were made, songs about skateboarding were sung, the first skateboarding magazine was published, and the first skate parks built. Hype was short-lived and quickly died down due to concerns of skateboarding being too dangerous. In 1972, Frank Nasworthy had begun distributing the first urethane wheels. These would replace the clay roller skate wheels, making skateboards safer and easier to ride.
They're urethane, they come from oil, and they grip. Wow.
The skateboard underwent a technological overhaul in the 70s. Boards made of solid wood, the angled kicktail, grip tape, skateboard-specific trucks were all made standard practice, and these improvements meant more people than ever were buying skateboards. Thanks to the influence of Alvar Aalto's 1930s Villa Maria, the kidney-shaped swimming pool became popular in American households. But due to the droughts in California during the 70s, these pools remained empty to save water, and in the empty pools was the birthplace of bowl skating, and the rebellious nature of skaters started to shine through. The late 80s and early 90s, skateboarding started to decline again, and street-style skating began blooming as skate parks closed due to lack of income. Skateboards started to take the classical popsicle shape they have today because of this, being slightly slimmer with a symmetrical shape, allowing for flip tricks to be easily performed off the nose and tail. During the late 90s, skateboarding experienced its third revival. The Summer X Games debuted in 1995 and started to showcase extreme sports to the world. Tony Hawk, a skateboarder, needing no introduction, took the gold medal at the 1995, 97, and 98 games until 1999, where he landed the first ever 900 in skateboarding history in front of 270,000 people. The same year, Activision released Tony Hawk's Pro Skater for the PlayStation, allowing for the mass dissemination of skateboarding to a young audience and create an explosion in popularity, the effects of which can still be seen to this day. Skateboarding's history of breaking into backyard pools, appropriating public spaces, as well as its general punk-like attitude has resulted in a negative stereotype and public perception.
If you're on a skateboard, it's on par with disorderly fight, it doesn't really add up.
This is particularly evident in city centres, says Ian Borden, an architectural historian and skateboarding academic. Concentrations of decision-making, power and consumer spending, where skateboarding appears as an irrational eruption. This negative perspective shared on a pedestrian level all the way to members of the city councils results in legislature made to prevent skating in public, and the widespread use of hostile architecture that excludes people from using a space for anything other than its intended purpose. Street skateboarders, though, tend to focus on quieter areas of cities or forgotten no man's land, as Thrasher magazine puts it. Ian Borden tells us that this is exemplified by the countless banks, blocks, gaps, ledges, and other nondescript elements. But it's because of this engagement with spaces in the city that skateboarding has a positive effect. Skateboarding creates a critique of these spaces, which can result in a change in attitude towards the space. An example of this is the tragic story of JFK Plaza, better known as Love Park. JFK Plaza is a park in the center of Philadelphia, built in 1965. It quickly became barren by the 80s due to reforms to welfare programs by the Reagan administration. It became pretty much a makeshift home for the homeless. Seeing the marble benches, granite planters and long stretches of flat ground, skaters from the surrounding working-class neighborhood began skating there in the 90s. Love Park quickly became a world-renowned skate spot. In 2000, however, the council passed a city-wide ban on skateboarding with a focus on Love Park, just before the ESPN X Games in 2001. Despite the 2001 games generating around $80 million for the city. Ocean Howell, an architectural historian, tells us that shortly before ESPN arrived in the summer of 2002, the city fenced off Love Park to prepare for a redesign of the space.
It's like everybody knew, this is it, like it's getting shut down.
ESPN did not renew its contract with the city for a third year. This redesign featured planters and bins that, according to architectural critic Inga Saffron, the main goal was to get rid of skateboarders. It wasn't to make Love Park a good urban space. After years of back and forth between skateboarders and the city council, including the council denying $1 million raised by skateboarders for maintenance of the park, the council completely redesigned JFK Plaza. It reopened in 2018 and was dubbed One Graceless Plain by the Philadelphia Citizen, a flat, barren landscape designed to eliminate anything other than its prescribed uses. However, there are modern examples of cities in the world that work in collaboration with skaters, so that, as a demographic, skateboarding is considered by the council and shapes the city around them. The most well-known city like this is Malmö in Sweden. Malmö has been working with skateboarders for over 2 decades and is host to Brigariads, a skateboarding high school. By showing the city that skateboarding can attract events, be integrated into education, and generate publicity and revenue, skateboarders began to build a positive and healthy relationship with their city. In Gustav Eden, Malmö's official skateboarding coordinator's own words, the relationship with the city had grown stronger and we were influencing how the city was being formed in a new way. Gustav Eden also works with Malmö Streets and Parks Department to help activate urban spaces by including skatable architecture in the city, and helping with the design of skate parks, even incorporating granite shipped over from Love Park into one of the skate parks. Because of the contrast between these two examples of skateboarders and their relationship with their cities, the motivation behind councils and governing bodies being skate-friendly can be brought into question. In an interview, Ocean Howell states, "If skateboarders are swept out of some places, they are used as a broom in others," describing how councils that build skate parks appear to side with skaters by creating spaces for skateboarding. However, they're constructing them under bridges instead of places like wealthy neighborhoods or busy urban areas, with the purpose of combating homeless encampments, to reduce crime, and to make the area more attractive to property and business owners. This is partly in reference to the construction of Burnside Skate Park in Portland, Oregon, which was a hotbed of illegal activity, until skateboarders began building a DIY skate park, eventually earning the blessing of the city. This notion is best summarized by Howell. The youthful defiance of skateboarders has serendipitously reclaimed Love Park, generating revenue through media exposure and producing a marketable image for the city, all whilst deterring the presence of homeless. Now the skateboarders, in turn, are being phased out to make way for the next reclamation. There are cities that are following in Malmö's footsteps. Hull Council officials stated that it was moving to become the leader in positive actions towards skateboarding in the UK in 2016. Sheffield has also established their Exchange Street as the only inner-city skate space in the UK in 2020. With these ongoing cases, I feel it's important for skateboarding and similar subcultures as they grow to remain mindful of its place in the larger city community, so that instances like Love Park won't be repeated, and that the next generation of skateboarders can grow up in a city like Malmö.